So for our first at-home learning project, we're going to be making a ceramic wire tool. And you might be saying, what is a wire tool? So on the left is an image of a wire tool. The center of it is just a piece of wire, and then there are two wooden handles. And this tool is used for taking a chunk of clay from a larger block of clay. So for example, when we first get the clay out of the box, it's this big cube, and you'll take a wire tool to kind of cut yourself off a chunk of that. It is also used for surface decoration, removing pots from the electric potter's wheel, beveling, and evening out the rims of pots. So it's used for multiple things, but we mostly use it for taking clay from a large block. I want you to focus on those wooden handles because we're going to be making our own handles today. So what are the things that we are going to be looking for when we're making these wire tools? We are going to be looking that we're not making it too thick. Making something too thick can be problematic for the kiln and having things blow up. So try to not go too much thicker than your thumb. The second thing we'll be looking for is that your handle should be sculpted in the round. It should be three-dimensional, not flat. So three-dimensional. And I'll talk a little bit more about that here in the next slide. The third thing is that your handle should use at least one of the texture techniques we learned from our plate project, which I'll go over here in a second as well. And the fourth is that your handle should be an object that tells me something about the artist. So an object that tells me something about you. So sculpting in the round. That's when a sculpture is made in three-dimensional form. So it's not attached to any sort of flat background. What that means is that I could literally pick up your sculpture and look at the top, the bottom, the front, the back, the side, and the other side. Okay, so if you think about like a painting on a wall, you normally only see the front of it. I want to be able to see all the sides of it. So on the right is an example. I could literally walk around this figure. So that is sculpted in the round. The next thing you have to include is a texture technique we used on your plates. So I have applique, incising, and impressed. I took off sgraffito and slip trailing because those are hard to do at home because you don't have the materials. So you have to use at least one of these three. So applique and incising we did on our plates, so that you should be familiar with that. Impressed is literally what it sounds like. You're taking some sort of object and you're pressing it into your clay and you're peeling it off. Okay, so for example, if you look at the bottom right example here, I could take a flower or a leaf and I could press it into my wet clay. So your clay should still be wet. I would press it into my wet clay and then I would peel it off, and you'll see the impression, or you'll see the texture and the outline of that leaf or that flower. Okay, all three examples are right down here if you need to revisit what those texture techniques are. So next I'm going to show you some examples. So on the left here, you'll see these two oranges. Each handle is an orange, so they have the same thing on both sides. Each handle here is a donut, and then you'll see this one's a little bit different. So one handle is a pepper, and the other handle is the skull. So they go together, but they do not have to be exactly the same. Some more lemons, just different colors, and you can see they did some incising here. These next ones aren't necessarily examples of specific wire tools, but you'll get an idea of things. So you could do something that's maybe plant-like or flower-like. You could do something that's just a simple shape and then have some texture on it or some sort of design. Got two shells here, some fish, and you can see they've got some piercing happening in here. This one over here is another one of those where there maybe aren't the same handle on each side, but they still go together. So we've got a beehive on one side and maybe a little bee on the other. You should also take into consideration, you should be able to use these tools. So I need to make sure it's something that I can wrap my hand around and use my wire tool. Okay? So what is today's assignment? You are going to draw 3 different designs for your wire tool project, and you're going to upload them to Padlet. And you're going to give some peers some feedback. Okay, so we'll start with the first thing. You're going to make 3 designs. Here's my example. I have 1, 2, 3. The first one is nail polish. I have a ton. So what does it tell you about me? I have a ton of nail polish. I love painting my nails. Okay, so maybe both handles are nail polish bottles. My favorite food is pretzels, and you'll find me eating pretzels whenever I can. So maybe I'm going to make my wire tools pretzels. Or my favorite show is Boy Meets World, and their logo has a paper airplane and a baseball. So one handle would be the paper airplane, the other handle would be a baseball. And maybe that's what I do for my wire tools. Okay. Once you have that sketch, you're going to upload that to Padlet. So once you get to Padlet, it should look something like this. At the top left here, it should say Ceramic Wire Tools. There's nothing on here yet because you haven't had this assignment yet. But once you get there, at the bottom right, there's a little plus sign here. I'm going to click on that, and that's going to give me my little piece to this website. At the title, I'm going to put my name, and I'm going to write example because this is my example for you. The next part is where I'm going to write a little bit about what I'm putting on here. Okay, so I'm going to tell them which one I'm most interested in. I think I'm going to make the nail polish bottles. The next part, I want to ask for feedback on something specific. So then I'm asking for feedback. I want to know whether I should make both handles just nail polish bottles, or if I should make one the bottle and one the brush that goes in the bottle. So I'm just asking for a little opinion there. And then this little arrow here allows me to pick a file from my desktop, and that's where my photo of my sketches are. Okay, so it's uploading. And now I have my name, what I would like feedback on, and then here's my sketches. And if you click on the sketches, they will get bigger for you. Okay, now once there are more people that have posted on here, I would go to them and I would add a comment. So I just have to click here and I would say, I think you should make one of them a nail polish bottle and one a brush. Or maybe I really like the idea of the nail polish bottles, but I think that the Boy Meets World, airplane, and baseball would be a cooler idea. Okay, so I'm going to give them a little bit of feedback. Once you've done that, you're done for the day. So you have your design, you uploaded it to Padlet, and you've given it peer feedback. And then I will see you tomorrow.